His secret baby, her silent pain. Emma Parker never imagined raising a child alone, much less one fathered by Damon West, the cold-hearted billionaire who vanished from her life without a word. For 5 long years, she's built a quiet life for her and her son, shielding him from the pain of a father who never knew he existed. But when Damon suddenly returns to Westbridge, older, richer, and even more dangerous to her heart, Emma's world shatters. He's not just back for business. He wants answers. He wants her. And when he discovers the little boy with his same stormy grey eyes, the truth threatens to explode. Now, Emma must protect her son and her heart while facing the man who once broke her soul. But Damon isn't leaving again, not without claiming what's his. Will the truth destroy them, or give them a second chance at the family they never had? Main characters: Emma Parker, a resilient, compassionate kindergarten teacher in a small town. She hides a powerful strength beneath her soft demeanour. She's been living in silence for 5 years, guarding a painful secret, her son's true parentage. Damon West, the heir to a billion-dollar empire, arrogant, emotionally guarded, and deeply wounded by betrayal in his past. He left town with bitterness in his heart, but something draws him back to the place. And the woman he swore to forget. Noah Parker, a curious, bright-eyed 5-year-old with a striking resemblance to Damon. He's sweet, smart, and unknowingly caught in the middle of a love story that began before he was born. Lena Grant, Emma's best friend and confidant. Fierce, loyal, and not afraid to speak her mind, especially when it comes to protecting Emma and Noah. Gerald West Damon's controlling and manipulative father. The source of many secrets in the West family. He has his own reasons for keeping Emma and Damon apart. The stranger with familiar eyes. The wind swept through the small town of Westbridge like a whisper from the past. Emma Parker tightened her scarf around her neck as she crossed the school parking lot, the last of the parents having picked up their children. The early autumn chill crept beneath her coat, but it was nothing compared to the familiar ache in her chest. Every afternoon ended the same. She would finish grading papers, smile for the parents, then walk home with Noah's small hand curled tightly in hers. Her son. Her secret. Today, though, something felt off. The air was heavier, the world quieter. Or maybe it was just her heart, sensing what her eyes had yet to see. "Mommy, look!" Noah's excited voice broke through the silence as he pointed to a sleek black car pulling up to the town square. "That car is so shiny!" Emma barely glanced up. Westbridge didn't attract luxury. People didn't arrive here in $200,000 sedans with tinted windows and city plates. She stiffened. The door opened slowly, and out stepped the ghost of her past. Damon West. Tall. Impossibly tall. Sharp jaw, perfectly styled hair, and eyes the colour of a brewing storm. Emma's legs trembled. It had been 5 years, 5 birthdays, 5 Christmases, 5 nights of Noah asking why he didn't have a daddy. 5 years since Damon had walked away from her, from everything they had, without a word. And now here he was, standing in the middle of the town he hated, like he belonged there. He hadn't seen her yet. Emma bent down quickly, her heart pounding. "Noah," she whispered, voice trembling. "Let's take the back path today, okay?" "But Mommy, please." The urgency in her voice quieted him. He nodded and followed her, confused but obedient. They ducked around the corner of the school, taking the long way home through the trees. She didn't look back, but Damon did. From across the square, something had pulled at him, like a memory just out of reach. He stared at the school, at the woman with chestnut hair hurriedly walking away with a child. There was something familiar in the curve of her shoulders, the way she clutched the boy protectively, his brows furrowed. No, it couldn't be. She wouldn't be here. She wouldn't have stayed. Back in her small house on Maple Drive, Emma locked the door behind her and pressed her back against it, heart racing. He's back. She hadn't said those words out loud in years. She had forbidden herself from wondering. She didn't look him up, didn't let herself remember the sound of his voice, the heat of his touch, or the coldness in his eyes the night he left. But now he was here, and she had a son with his eyes. Noah sat on the couch, swinging his legs. "Are you okay, Mommy?" She smiled through the panic. "I'm okay, sweetheart, just tired." He nodded and picked up his crayons. "Can we draw together?" Her heart melted. "Of course." As she sat beside him, pretending to focus on colouring within the lines, her mind was elsewhere. Would Damon recognise her? Would he stay? Would he discover the truth? She glanced at Noah, his little brows furrowed in concentration. The same way Damon used to look when he was working on a business proposal. The same mouth, the same stubborn chin. God, he was Damon's son in every way. But Damon didn't know. And he couldn't. Emma had sworn to protect Noah from the West family. The money, the coldness, the legacy of control and betrayal. Damon's father, Gerald, would never allow Noah to live a simple life. He would try to own him, shape him. Just like he tried to shape Damon. No. She had done the right thing. She had to believe that. Across town, Damon sat in his father's old office, staring out the window. "I still don't understand why you wanted me back here, Gerald," he muttered, voice low. Gerald West sipped his whiskey, leaning back in the leather chair with a smirk. "You're the heir. This town belongs to our name. It's time you remembered your roots." Damon scoffed. "This town holds nothing but ghosts." Gerald's eyes narrowed. "Then maybe it's time you faced them." Damon turned back to the window, and there in the fading light he saw her again. Just a glimpse, chestnut hair and a little boy laughing beside her. He couldn't look away. He didn't know her name yet, but something deep inside him whispered, "She knows." A name he couldn't forget. The morning sun cast a golden glow over Westbridge, deceptively warm for such a cold day. Damon West stood outside the town's only cafe, the kind of place he once called boring, provincial, forgettable. Now everything felt different. The town hadn't changed, but he had. He pushed open the wooden door, the little bell above it jingling like a memory. Heads turned. Whispers started. Damon West was back. Behind the counter, an older woman's eyes widened. "Damon! Damon West!" she gasped, placing her hand over her heart. He gave a slow nod. "Mrs. Langley, still making the best coffee in Westbridge?" She laughed nervously. "And still serving the worst gossip too. My God, you're taller than I remember." "I've had 5 years to grow," he replied with a tight smile. Mrs. Langley leaned closer. "Are you here for long?" Damon's jaw tensed. Not sure yet. Not until he had answers. He took his black coffee and sat by the window. But his mind wasn't on the bitter taste. It was on her, the woman he saw yesterday, the child beside her. He hadn't seen her face, but his gut screamed it was her, Emma. The name settled in his mind like smoke curling in the air, soft and inescapable. Emma Parker, the girl he never meant to love, the one he walked away from to protect her. Or so he told himself. She had been everything he wasn't, pure, kind, trusting, and he destroyed her. What the hell was she still doing in Westbridge? Damon's thoughts were interrupted by a familiar voice from the entrance. "Well, I'll be damned. Damon West. In the flesh." He turned and stood slowly. "Lena," he said cautiously. Lena Grant crossed her arms, eyes narrowed. "You've got some nerve showing your face around here." Damon raised a brow. "Always a pleasure." "You didn't come back for pleasantries," she snapped. "You came back because your father snapped his fingers." "I came back for business." She tilted her head. "Then stay out of people's lives." "I saw someone yesterday." "Don't. Emma." Lena's expression went ice cold. "She doesn't need you digging up the past." Damon stepped closer. "She had a kid with her." Silence. It was only a second, a flicker in Lena's eyes, but it was all the confirmation he needed. His stomach dropped. "Is he mine?" His voice was low, dangerous. Lena scoffed. You gave up the right to ask that question when you left her crying in the rain without so much as a goodbye. I left because of your father, Damon growled. She didn't care about your name or your money. She loved you. She gave you everything, Damon, and you disappeared. His voice cracked. Is he mine, Lena? But Lena just turned her back. You really want to know? Then be a man and ask her yourself. She walked out, leaving him standing in the cafe, heart racing. Across town, Emma stood in front of her bathroom mirror, brushing her hair with trembling hands. She barely slept. She kept seeing him, those grey eyes, the way he looked around like he was searching for something. She had almost let him see her. Almost. She pressed a hand to her chest. He couldn't find out. Not yet. Maybe not ever. A knock at the door startled her. Noah looked up from his cereal. I'll get it. No, she called too late. The door opened, and Damon stood there. Noah froze, his little mouth forming an O. Emma's heart stopped. Her fingers gripped the edge of the sink. She stepped into the hallway slowly, like her legs weren't part of her. Damon's eyes met hers. For a moment, the entire world went still. The only sound was Noah slurping his milk and looking between the two adults like he knew something big was happening. Emma, Damon said. She swallowed hard. You shouldn't be here. I think I should. She stepped forward and shut the door halfway, blocking Noah from view. You saw him. I did. Emma's voice was calm, but her hands trembled. He's my son. His eyes darkened. And mine? A beat of silence. I don't owe you anything, she whispered. Yes, you do, he said sharply. You owe me the truth. Emma shook her head. You left. You made it clear I was just a mistake. I never said that. You didn't have to. Her voice cracked, and for a moment the fire in Damon's eyes flickered. Please, she added more softly. Just go. Damon stepped back, looking shattered. You named him Noah? Emma's breath caught. He remembered. She had once told him that name on a rainy afternoon in his arms, back when she thought they had a future. Yes, she whispered. And then she closed the door, slowly, softly. But not before Damon saw the truth in her eyes. Noah was his, and she had been hiding him all this time. The truth between the lines. Damon stood motionless on Emma's porch. Noah. The name echoed inside his chest like thunder. He didn't need a DNA test. The moment he saw the boy up close, it was like staring into a mirror of his younger self. Same steel grey eyes, same furrowed brows when curious, even the same dimple on the left cheek when he smiled. Damon felt the floor beneath his world shift. She had kept his son from him. He walked down the steps slowly, fists clenched. He wasn't sure if the fire burning in his chest was rage, heartbreak, or both. But he knew one thing. He was done being kept in the dark. Inside, Emma sank to the floor, her back against the closed door. Her hands trembled as she pressed them to her lips, trying to hold in the sobs. Noah looked up from his cereal again, his little eyes full of concern. Was that man your friend, Mommy? Emma wiped her face and nodded, though her voice didn't match the lie. He's someone I used to know. Noah tilted his head. He looked at me funny. Her breath caught. He was Damon's son, sharp, observant, already putting together pieces he couldn't understand. He was just surprised, baby, she said gently. That's all. Noah seemed to accept the answer, returning to his bowl. But Emma knew better. She had seen Damon's face, the storm behind his eyes, the pain, the disbelief, the fury. He knew, and he wouldn't let this go. Later that afternoon, Damon stood by the edge of Westbridge Lake, the place where he and Emma once shared their first kiss. Back then, she wore that silly yellow cardigan she loved. Her nose had been red from the cold, and she had laughed when he'd awkwardly tried to tuck her hair behind her ear. He remembered thinking he might love her even then. He thought time would dull the memory. but time had only sharpened it. He stared at the still water, the breeze whispering across its surface. Behind him, footsteps crunched the leaves. "Lena." "You saw him," she said softly. He didn't turn around. "Yeah, I saw him. And now what?" Damon took a deep breath. "I don't know." Lena stepped beside him, folding her arms. "She was going to tell you, you know, at first. But then your father—" "I know what he did," Damon cut in. "You really don't." Damon turned sharply. Lena's voice cracked. "He threatened her. Told her if she ruined your future, he'd ruin hers. Told her he'd take the baby if she ever opened her mouth. She was 19, Damon. 19, pregnant and terrified." The words hit him like a punch to the gut. "I would have never let that happen," Damon whispered. "But you weren't there," Lena said. "You left." His fists clenched again. "I thought I was protecting her. I thought walking away was the only way to stop him from hurting her more." "Well," Lena said bitterly, "how noble of you, while she cried herself to sleep every night and raised your son alone. I didn't know. She didn't want pity. She wanted peace." Damon stared at the lake again. "You think I don't hate myself?" he muttered. "Every single day. But that boy, he's mine, and I'm not walking away again." Lena studied him, trying to read the man who had once been just a boy with too many walls. "She still loves you," she said softly. Damon didn't respond. He didn't know if that made things better or worse. Back at home, Emma sat on her bed, flipping through a box of old letters she never sent. Each one began the same. "Dear Damon." She had written them in her weakest moments, when Noah was sick, when she felt alone, when she wanted to scream at the world for how unfair everything was. She had poured her heart into those pages, but never mailed a single one. Because no matter how much she missed him, she couldn't trust him, not after what he left behind. She closed the box and stood up when she heard the knock. 3 gentle taps. Her breath caught. She walked to the door slowly. When she opened it, Damon stood there again. His expression wasn't cold. It wasn't angry. It was broken. "I want to talk," he said. Emma hesitated. "Damon, I just want to understand. I deserve that, don't I?" She stepped aside. He walked in, looking around the small living room, taking in the details. The family photos, the toys, the blanket on the couch that matched the one he once bought her years ago. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice raw. Emma wrapped her arms around herself. "You were gone. You made it clear you didn't want anything to do with me. I left because I thought it was the only way to protect you. I didn't know—" She turned sharply. "Exactly. You didn't know, because you didn't ask. Because you didn't stay." Damon looked down, swallowing the lump in his throat. "I should have fought harder. You should have loved me enough to stay." Silence filled the room, thick with everything unspoken. Then he said it. "I want to be part of his life." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "He's not a project, Damon. He's not some business deal. He's a child, a boy who loves dinosaurs and pancakes and hates thunderstorms. He's my whole world." Damon stepped closer, his voice shaking. "Then let me be part of that world." Emma's heart ached. For a second, she let herself remember how it felt to be held by him, to believe in him. But then she remembered the tears, the fear, the betrayal. "I don't know if I can trust you," she whispered. "Then let me earn it," Damon said. "Let me start today." A father in the shadows. The next morning, Emma stood at the kitchen counter, staring into her coffee cup like it held the answers she couldn't find. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Noah was still asleep, curled beneath his favourite blue blanket. But Emma's thoughts were loud. No matter how still the room, her heart beat in chaos. She had let Damon in yesterday. She had opened the door. And now, everything was unravelling. She told herself she had done it for Noah, that every word, every second of that agonising conversation was for her son's sake. But deep down, she knew the truth. It was Damon's voice she missed. His presence. The way he used to make the world feel less heavy. He had said he wanted to earn her trust, but what did that even mean? Could a man like Damon West, the billionaire who once abandoned her to climb higher, truly be the man she needed him to be now? And more importantly, could he be the father Noah deserved? Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock. Not the front door, the back. She froze. Only one person ever knocked at the back. She opened it cautiously, and there he was again. Damon. He looked out of place in the soft morning light, standing beside a paper bag and holding 2 coffees like a peace offering. "I figured you'd be up early," he said quietly. Emma glanced at the bag. "Bribing me with coffee?" He offered a faint smile. "And cinnamon rolls. Still your favourite?" She took the bag reluctantly and nodded. "Still." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Damon asked, "Can I see him today?" Emma's fingers tightened on the cup. "He doesn't know who you are." "I'm not asking to take him to a theme park," Damon said, his voice low. "I just want to see him, talk to him, maybe start something." Emma hesitated. "He's 5, she said. "He trusts easily, but if you break his heart, Damon, I swear to God, I won't." She searched his eyes, the same way she used to long ago when she wanted to believe in him. Finally, she stepped aside. Noah sat cross-legged on the living room rug, lining up his toy dinosaurs with serious concentration. He looked up when Damon entered, his head tilted with childlike curiosity. "Hi," Damon said, crouching down to his level. Noah blinked. "You're the man from the door." Damon smiled softly. "Yeah, I'm a friend of your mum's." Noah studied him for a second, then asked, "Do you like dinosaurs?" Damon chuckled. "I used to. I think the T-Rex was my favourite." Noah lit up. "Me too, except I also like velociraptors because they're fast." "They are," Damon agreed. "Smart too." Emma stood by the doorway, arms crossed, heart pounding as she watched the impossible. Her son and his father. Connecting. Noah showed Damon his toys, explaining each one in detail like a tiny professor. Damon listened, really listened, nodding, asking questions, making the boy laugh. It was strange, beautiful, painful. Emma blinked back tears. She wasn't ready for this. But maybe he was. Across town, Gerald West poured himself a drink at the estate that looked more like a fortress than a home. His assistant hovered nearby, nervous. "Sir, the board is asking when Damon will return to New York." Gerald swirled the glass. "Damon is being distracted. That woman, she's a complication I thought we buried." The assistant didn't respond. Gerald's voice hardened. "Find out everything. I want names, dates, blood types if necessary." "Yes, sir." He turned to the window, staring out across the land he owned like a king surveying his kingdom. "If that child is his," Gerald muttered, "we'll use it, but on our terms." Back at Emma's house, Damon sat on the floor, his legs starting to cramp, but he didn't care. Noah was laughing with him, and it was the best sound he'd heard in years. "You're good at building towers," Noah said as Damon stacked Legos with him. "I had a lot of practice," Damon replied. "I used to play alone a lot too." Emma leaned in from the hallway. "Lunchtime, kiddo." Noah groaned. "Can he stay?" Emma looked at Damon, then nodded. "If he wants to." "I do," Damon said without hesitation. Noah clapped. "Yay, I'll get the sandwiches!" When the boy ran off, Damon stood, his eyes meeting Emma's. "I want to do this right," he said. "All of it." Emma folded her arms. "He doesn't know you're his father." "I know, but someday I want to tell him. With you." Her throat tightened. "I don't know if I'm ready for that," she whispered. Damon stepped closer. "Neither am I. But I'll wait, as long as it takes." For the first time, Emma didn't flinch, But outside, behind the trees, a man in a black coat lowered his camera and made a call. Yeah, he was with the kid. Got pictures. A voice on the other end replied coldly, "Send them to Mr. West. He'll know what to do." The past has teeth. The photographs landed on Gerald West's mahogany desk with a crisp slap. He didn't look at them right away. Instead, he sipped his scotch, letting the silence stretch like a blade against the air. Finally, he leaned forward. One photo showed Damon crouched beside a little boy with a messy head of dark hair, their matching eyes laughing over toy dinosaurs. Another showed the boy holding Damon's hand. A third, blurry but damning, caught Emma in the background, her gaze soft, almost tender. Gerald's lips curled into a cold, victorious smile. "So," he murmured, "the child exists." His assistant shifted nervously. "What would you like us to do, sir?" Gerald tapped the photo. "Begin drafting a proposal. We'll do this the clean way, first." "Sir?" "He's a West, which means he belongs with us, and if Damon won't take control, I will." The assistant hesitated. "And Miss Parker?" Gerald's smile vanished. "She's already made the mistake of keeping my grandson from me. I don't forgive that kind of betrayal." Across town, Emma stood in the kitchen, the phone pressed to her ear, her back stiff. Lena's voice buzzed through the speaker. "You what? Emma, you let him into your house?" Emma sighed. "He didn't come as a billionaire, Lena. He came as a father, or someone trying to be. And you trust that?" "I don't know," Emma admitted, "but Noah does." "That's the problem," Lena snapped. "You're letting that boy get attached to a man who walked away once without looking back." Emma leaned against the counter. "He didn't know." Lena's voice softened slightly. "And if he leaves again?" Emma closed her eyes. "Then I'll clean up the pieces, like I always do." There was a pause. Then Lena whispered, "You still love him, don't you?" Emma didn't answer. She didn't have to. Damon paced the length of the guest house Gerald had arranged for him, though he hadn't spent much time there. It felt sterile, like everything his father touched. Too perfect, too cold. His phone buzzed. A message from his assistant in New York. "Urgent. Your father is requesting documents related to family trust. Want me to block?" Damon frowned. He responded, "Yes, immediately. Don't release anything without my direct order." He already knew Gerald was watching, manipulating. The man had probably known about Noah before he did. Damon sat on the couch, head in his hands. Noah. Every time he said the name, something cracked open in his chest. The boy was smart, bright, funny, and so familiar it made Damon ache. He remembered helping him put on his shoes earlier that day, the way Noah had looked up and grinned, trusting him without question. Damon had missed 5 years. He wasn't about to miss another day. That evening, Emma tucked Noah into bed. "Do you like him?" he asked, his little eyes wide. Emma paused. "Who?" "The man, Damon." She brushed his hair back gently. "I used to." "Why don't you now?" Emma hesitated. "Sometimes grown-ups hurt each other, and it takes time to heal." Noah yawned. "But he's nice. He said I'm brave." Her heart squeezed. "You are brave," she whispered. As Noah drifted off, Emma sat beside his bed, her thoughts tangled. She should push Damon away. She should protect the quiet little world she built. But instead, she found herself remembering the way Damon had looked at Noah, like he mattered more than anything, and that terrified her more than anything else. The next morning, a courier arrived at her door. She opened the envelope slowly, fingers trembling. Inside was a formal letter on thick white paper, the West family crest at the top. It read, "Miss Parker, we are aware of the existence of the child. As such, the West family has a legal and personal interest in his future. We kindly invite you to a private discussion regarding appropriate steps toward ensuring the child's well-being, including potential custody arrangements." Gerald M. West. Emma dropped the letter, her chest tightening. Custody? They wanted to take her son. She backed into the wall, breath shallow. How had everything changed so quickly? Damon had said he wanted to be part of Noah's life, not take him. But this wasn't Damon. This was his father, a man who destroyed lives with a single letter. Emma stood frozen, the walls closing in around her. The war had begun. The war at her door. Emma sat at the kitchen table, staring at the letter from Gerald West like it was a ticking bomb. Her hands trembled. Custody. That single word had cracked something deep inside her. Noah was her son. She had carried him, birthed him, raised him, without help, without sleep, without Damon. Through fevers and nightmares, first words and scraped knees, she had been there. And now, Gerald West wanted to talk about appropriate steps. No, she wasn't going to be polite. She wasn't going to be quiet. She was going to fight. Damon opened the door to the knock, expecting a delivery or his assistant. Instead, Emma pushed her way inside without a word. She threw the envelope down on the table between them. His eyes fell to the West family crest. His heart sank. "Tell me this isn't from you," she said, her voice low, dangerous. Damon picked up the letter, reading quickly. His face paled. "Emma, I swear to you, I didn't know anything about this." "You didn't know?" She laughed bitterly. "So it's just coincidence that the day after you visit, your father starts drafting custody terms." "I would never," he started. "You said you wanted to earn my trust, Damon. This?" She pointed at the letter. "This is the opposite of that." "I had no idea Gerald would do this," Damon snapped. "He went behind my back." Emma folded her arms, her voice trembling. "Then control him." Damon looked down. "No one controls my father, not even me." "Then I need you to make a choice," she said. "Right now." His eyes met hers. "Are you with us? Or are you a West?" Silence. For a long, excruciating moment, Damon didn't speak. Then he said softly, "I don't want to choose. I want to protect you both." Emma's voice cracked. "You can't protect us and stand behind the man trying to take my child." Damon ran a hand through his hair. "I'll stop him, I swear. I'll go to war with him if I have to." Emma looked away, tears building. "I shouldn't have let you in." "Don't say that. I was doing fine before you came back." "You were surviving," he said, "not living. You've been carrying all this alone. Let me help. You want to help." Her voice turned cold, then disappear, again. Damon flinched, but before he could speak, a small voice broke the tension. "Mommy?" They turned. Noah stood at the hallway entrance, pyjama-clad, rubbing his eyes. Emma rushed over, kneeling in front of him. "Sweetheart, it's okay. Go back to bed." Noah looked at Damon. "Did you guys fight?" Emma's throat tightened. "We were just talking, baby." Damon knelt down, matching Noah's height. "Hey, little man, I'm sorry if we scared you." Noah blinked. "You're not scary." Damon smiled gently. "Thanks, that means a lot." Emma stood, pulling Noah into her arms. "I think you should go," she said to Damon. He nodded slowly. "I'll fix this." "You'd better," she said without looking back. That night, Damon drove to the West estate, rage simmering beneath his calm exterior. He didn't knock. He stormed into his father's study. Gerald didn't even flinch. "I assume you've read the letter. You sent a legal threat to the mother of my child." Gerald sipped his drink. "I offered an invitation to discuss custody. You went behind my back. I moved ahead while you were playing house with your mistake." Damon's voice rose. "He's not a mistake. He's my son." Gerald stood now, cold and regal like a statue carved from ice. "And that makes him a West, which means he belongs with us, not with a small-town schoolteacher who thinks diapers and love are enough." Damon stepped forward, fury in his eyes. "If you ever contact Emma again, if you come near Noah again, I swear I'll destroy you, father or not." Gerald's voice dropped to a whisper. "You think you can beat me, boy?" Damon leaned in. "Watch me." He turned and walked out, the door slamming behind him. Emma lay awake in bed, holding Noah's favourite blanket to her chest like a shield. The fear she thought she'd buried had returned full force. She had protected Noah for 5 years, alone. Could she really trust Damon to protect them now? Could she afford not to? Her phone buzzed. A message. From Damon. I confronted him. "You were right. I should have done it sooner. I'll protect you, whatever it takes. You have my word." Emma stared at the screen for a long time. Then she turned it over, hiding the light. But she didn't delete the message. Not yet. A heart torn in two. Emma hadn't slept. The morning light filtered through the kitchen window, but it brought no warmth. She sat with her hands wrapped around a cold coffee cup, her eyes unfocused. Noah sat at the table, humming to himself as he coloured a picture of a lion. His innocence was a balm she didn't deserve. There was a knock at the door. Her body tensed. She stood slowly, every step toward that door filled with dread. But when she opened it, it wasn't Gerald. It wasn't a lawyer. It was Damon. He looked different, dishevelled, tired, raw. "I stayed up all night," he said, holding up a thick envelope. "This is a signed legal document. It revokes Gerald's involvement completely. I had my lawyer draw it up. He's done." Emma didn't reach for it. "You expect me to believe that?" "I expect you to see that I'm trying." He stepped closer. "Emma, I don't want to take Noah. I want to be in his life, with your permission, not by force." Her jaw clenched. "What changed?" "I remembered who I am," he said, "and I'm not my father." She stared at him for a long moment. Then her hand reached out, trembling, and she took the document. Inside, signatures, stamps, official language. It was real. A piece of tension inside her. Loosened. Only slightly. Later that day, Emma sat on a park bench watching Noah play. He ran toward the slide, giggling, his joy untainted by the storm surrounding him. And then he stopped. "Look, Mummy." Damon stood a few feet away, holding a bright red kite. Noah's eyes lit up. Emma didn't move. Damon walked over slowly. "I thought maybe, if it's okay, we could fly it together." Noah looked up at Emma. She hesitated, then nodded. Noah sprinted to Damon, who showed him how to grip the handle and run into the wind. The kite soared high, red against a pale blue sky. Emma watched them from the bench. For the first time in years, Noah was laughing with a man who loved him, a man who looked like him, a man who belonged in his world. Her heart cracked in two. She didn't know whether to cry from joy or terror. That evening, she invited Damon in, for dinner, just dinner. She made grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup because that's what Noah called special food. The three of them sat at the small kitchen table. It was awkward, strange, but not bad. Noah told stories about his school friends, his favourite cartoons, his dislike for carrots. Damon listened like he was hearing the most important news in the world. And Emma, she found herself smiling. For a second, it almost felt like a family. After Noah went to bed, Damon lingered by the door. "Thank you," he said softly, "for letting me in." Emma stood with her arms crossed, not quite looking at him. "Don't mistake this for forgiveness." "I won't." "You hurt me," she said, her voice shaking. "You left me. You never called. You never knew what it was like to wake up in the middle of the night, terrified your child had stopped breathing." He nodded. "I know, and I'll carry that guilt for the rest of my life." "You should." Silence. Then she looked up at him. "But Noah smiled tonight, like I haven't seen him smile in weeks. So for him, I'm willing to try." very slowly. Damon's eyes softened. That's all I want. He opened the door, then turned back. I still love you, Emma. I never stopped. She said nothing, but as the door closed behind him, her hand went to her chest because her heart was pounding too loud to ignore. Meanwhile, across town, Gerald West poured a drink. His phone rang. He answered. Yes? They're getting closer, the voice on the other end said. He's with her again. Gerald's expression darkened. I'll give him one more chance to come to his senses. If he doesn't, he downed the drink. Then I'll remind him who owns his future. The kiss that shouldn't have happened. The days that followed settled into a strange rhythm. Damon started showing up, not uninvited but never fully expected. Sometimes with a small toy for Noah, sometimes with takeout coffee for Emma. Always respectful, always gentle. Emma didn't say yes to anything, but she didn't say no either. One afternoon after school, Damon helped Noah build a cardboard rocket ship in the living room. The two of them laughed so hard when the ship collapsed that Emma had to look away, because her heart wasn't ready to feel this full again. Later that evening, she stood in the kitchen while Damon quietly dried the dishes she washed. No one's done this with me in a long time, she said softly. What? Chores? He teased. She gave a small smile. Life. He looked at her then. The kind of look that stripped away every wall she had tried to rebuild. His eyes weren't demanding, they were patient. She turned away, but he stepped closer. Emma, he murmured. I know I can't erase what I did. But I'm here now. If you let me, I'll stay, for as long as you need me. She didn't answer. Her hands were shaking. And then, without meaning to, she looked up. Their lips met. A soft, uncertain kiss. One that tasted of old memories and unsaid apologies. When they pulled apart, her eyes were wide. That can't happen again, she whispered. I know, he said, but I'm not sorry. That night, Emma lay in bed, her heart a whirlwind of confusion. She still loved him. That was the truth she had buried for years. But love didn't erase abandonment. It didn't undo the nights she'd cried alone, or the job offers she'd turned down because of a feverish child. It didn't erase the trauma of pretending she didn't hate the man who once held her heart. Still, she had kissed him. And worse, she had wanted to. The next morning, she opened her front door and froze. A man in a grey suit was standing there with a cold smile and a briefcase in hand. Emma Blake? He asked. Yes. I'm here on behalf of Gerald West. She stiffened. The man opened the briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. You are being notified that Mr. West is contesting custody rights over Noah James Blake. He has filed a motion to request joint guardianship, citing Damon West as a party of concern. Emma's blood went cold. What? But Damon? He filed documents to revoke Gerald's claims. Yes. Mr. West has filed counter-documents stating those were signed under duress and without legal counsel. Emma's heart stopped. He's using Damon to come after my son. I'm just the messenger, ma'am. The man handed her the papers and walked away. Emma stood frozen, the document trembling in her hands. Later, she confronted Damon. You said it was over. You said Gerald was out. I swear to you, I thought he was, Damon said, his voice breaking. He must have gone behind my back. I'll talk to him. No, she snapped. You're not going near him. I have to fix this. You can't. She shoved the papers into his chest. He's trying to take Noah. He's using your name, your blood. Damon looked gutted. I never wanted this, he whispered. Emma stepped back. Tears ran down her cheeks. I trusted you. And look what it's cost me. Emma, I need space, she said, her voice barely audible. I can't let you near us until this is over. Damon looked like someone had just knocked the air from his lungs. Please, don't shut me out again. But she already had. The door closed, and Damon was alone. Again. Across town, Gerald West stood in his office, staring at a photo of Noah on his desk. "He's my legacy," he said coldly to his assistant, "and I'll be damned if I let that woman keep him from the name he deserves." The truth beneath the bloodline. The silence in Emma's house felt heavier than ever. Noah had sensed something was wrong. His cheerful energy dimmed, his questions sharpened. "Mummy, is Damon mad?" "No, baby. He's just not going to visit for a while." Noah nodded, but the light in his eyes flickered. Emma felt like she was breaking all over again. Across town, Damon paced his penthouse suite like a caged lion. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Emma's tears. He heard her voice, shattered, and he hated himself. He'd gone to his father's estate hours after the legal papers were served. Gerald had greeted him with a whiskey glass and a smug smile. "You're finally thinking like a West," Gerald had said. "Claim the boy. Claim your power." Damon had slammed his fist into the table. "He's not your legacy. He's mine. And I don't want your damn name tied to him." Gerald didn't flinch. "You signed away your say the moment you left Emma. I cleaned up your mess then. I can reclaim it now." Damon had stared at him in disgust. "You're not touching that boy. I swear to God, if you try..." "You'll do what?" Gerald chuckled. "Fight me in court? You'll lose. You've already lost her. Might as well use the boy to restore what's left of your spine." That was the last straw. Damon walked out, and he didn't look back. That night, Damon stood in front of Emma's house. He didn't knock. He just sat in his car, watching the soft glow of her kitchen window. Inside, she was cooking dinner, alone, moving slower than usual. Her shoulders seemed to carry the weight of 10 years again. He missed her. He missed them. But he knew barging in now wouldn't fix anything. She had every right to shut him out. Still, he couldn't leave her to face Gerald alone. The next morning, Emma got a call from her lawyer. "I've reviewed the petition. Gerald is pushing for a paternity test to validate Damon's biological connection. If successful, he'll argue Damon has paternal rights, and if Damon refuses custody, Gerald will push to claim his role as the child's legal grandfather." Emma felt sick. "He wants control over a boy he's never met." The lawyer's voice lowered. "It's not about love. It's about leverage." Emma's stomach turned. "What are my chances?" "Better if you get ahead of it. A press statement, testimonies, medical records. And if Damon is willing to publicly denounce Gerald..." "No," she cut him off. "I won't drag Noah into the media circus. He's just a child." "But Gerald's playing dirty. You need to be ready." Later that day, Emma found a letter slipped under her front door. It was handwritten, Damon's familiar scrawl. "Emma, I know you don't want to see me. I understand. But I need you to know. Gerald went behind my back. I would never let him near our son. I've contacted my own lawyers. I'm severing all business ties with the West Corporation. I'm walking away from my inheritance, my name, everything, because none of it matters if I lose you again. You once told me I ran away when things got hard, but I'm not running anymore. I'm standing right here even if it costs me everything. Just say the word and I'll fight with you, or I'll stay away if that's what you need. But don't ever doubt how much I love you." Always, Damon Emma read the letter 3 times before she pressed it to her chest and sank to the floor. Tears rolled down her cheeks. He was finally choosing her. But was it too late? Meanwhile, Gerald West wasn't done. That same night, a shadowy figure handed him an envelope. "Photos," the man said, "of her and the child. Should be enough to start pressuring the school board. Maybe even leak something to the tabloids." Gerald smirked. "If she won't hand over the boy, we'll make her life unbearable until she does." Rising from the ashes, Emma woke to the soft sound of rain tapping against the window. The grey morning felt heavy, like the storm outside was echoing the turmoil inside her. She sat up slowly, clutching Damon's letter in her hand. She read it again, feeling the weight of every word. I'm standing right here, even if it costs me everything. Could she believe him? Could she risk trusting again? At breakfast, Noah was cheerful, unaware of the shadows lurking in their lives. "Mommy, can Daddy come today?" he asked, eyes sparkling. Emma smiled, though her heart tightened. "He's coming for lunch," she said carefully. Noah beamed. "Yay!" Damon arrived with a bouquet of wildflowers. No grand gestures, just something simple, honest. Emma opened the door and took them silently. He stepped inside, watching the little boy race to him. "Noah," Damon said, kneeling down, "ready for some pancakes?" Noah laughed. "Yes, you make the best pancakes." Emma watched them, a small flicker of warmth growing inside her chest, but the peace was fragile. Later that afternoon, Emma's phone buzzed. An anonymous email. Photos. Noah at school, his face caught in candid moments, his laughter, his shy smile. But the worst were the rumours attached. Unfit mother hiding billionaire baby. Is this a custody battle in the making? Emma's hands shook as she scrolled. She felt exposed, vulnerable, and angry. That evening, Damon came over after work. She was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at her laptop, surrounded by whispers of suspicion and judgment. He sat beside her, taking her hand gently. "We'll get through this," he said quietly. "Together." Emma swallowed her fear. "Can we?" she asked. He nodded. "I don't care what my father does. I'm done running. I'm done hiding." She looked at him, tears threatening to spill. "Promise me," she whispered. "Promise me you won't leave again." "I won't." The next day, Damon met with his lawyer. He signed papers renouncing all rights to the West fortune and family holdings. "I'm choosing my son," Damon said firmly. The lawyer raised an eyebrow. "This will anger your father." Damon shrugged. "Good." Meanwhile, Gerald West's grip tightened. He called a private meeting with board members and lawyers, plotting ways to discredit Emma and isolate Damon. "Destroy their reputation," he ordered. "We'll make it impossible for them to fight us." Back at Emma's house, the storm inside finally broke. Noah hugged her tightly. "Mommy, I'm scared." Emma kissed his forehead. "We're going to be okay," she promised. "I'm not letting anyone take you away." Damon stepped into the doorway, determination burning in his eyes. "This is our fight now." Emma nodded. For the first time she believed it. Shadows and light. The days grew darker as Gerald West's campaign of intimidation escalated. Anonymous calls to Emma's workplace, whispered rumours in the neighbourhood, and cold stares from once friendly neighbours made every step outside feel like a battle. Emma felt herself retreating, not just from the world, but from Damon too. She was afraid that letting him in might put Noah in even more danger. One evening, Damon arrived with a quiet urgency. He found Emma sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, her face pale from exhaustion. "We can't let him win," Damon said, sitting beside her. Emma shook her head. "We're just two people, Damon. He's a giant." Damon took her hand, his grip strong. "Maybe, but giants fall." She looked up, eyes shimmering with tears. "I want to believe that. I want to believe in us." Damon brushed a stray hair from her face. "Then let me show you, one day at a time." Noah, sensing the tension, clung to Damon like a lifeline. His laughter returned slowly, the sound like music after a long silence. One afternoon, Damon took Noah to the park. He pushed him on the swings, catching his delighted giggles with every lift into the sky. Emma watched from a distance, a hesitant smile breaking through. For a moment, she allowed herself to hope. But Gerald was relentless. One morning, Emma received a court summons, a formal notice that Gerald had filed for partial custody, citing concerns about Emma's fitness as a mother. The news hit her like a freight train. She collapsed onto the floor, overwhelmed. Damon found her there. He pulled her into his arms without hesitation. "We'll fight this," he promised. "I swear, Emma, no matter what it takes." She looked up at him, her eyes full of fear and longing. "Do you really mean it?" He nodded. "With every part of me." The courtroom was cold and intimidating. Gerald's lawyers presented a polished case, but Damon's legal team fought fiercely. Emma sat beside Damon, holding his hand tightly. Noah was at a safe distance, guarded by trusted family friends. After hours of testimony, the judge made a decision. A temporary custody arrangement, allowing Damon's supervised visits while the court investigated. It wasn't a victory, but it was a start. Emma and Damon exchanged a glance, a silent promise to keep fighting. That night, Emma stood by the window, watching the city lights twinkle like distant stars. Damon's voice came softly behind her. "We're not alone anymore." She leaned into him, feeling a fragile strength growing between them. For the first time in years, she dared to believe in a future together. Secrets unveiled. The courtroom battle had left Emma exhausted but resolute. Yet beneath the surface, something darker stirred. Damon had kept a secret. One night, after Noah was asleep, Emma found him staring at his phone with a troubled expression. "What's wrong?" she asked gently. He hesitated, then sighed. "There's something I haven't told you, something about my past, and Gerald." Emma's heart tightened. "Tell me." He swallowed hard. Gerald wasn't just a ruthless father. There were things, illegal things, I only found out recently. Money laundering, shady deals, even threats to silence anyone who got in the way. Emma's eyes widened. "You knew?" "I found out months ago. I wanted to protect you and Noah by staying away." She shook her head. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I was ashamed and afraid." Emma reached out, her voice soft. "We're in this together. You don't have to carry it alone." The next day, Damon's lawyer contacted Emma. "We have evidence of Gerald's criminal activities. If we bring this to the court, it could destroy his custody claims." Emma's mind raced. Exposing Gerald meant safety, but it would also drag their family through the mud. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Sometimes the truth is the hardest weapon to wield," Damon said, holding her hand. Meanwhile, Gerald sensed the walls closing in. He summoned his closest allies. "We fight back," he commanded. "We'll leak damaging stories about Emma. We'll make her regret ever crossing me." His voice was ice. Emma's phone rang late one night. An unknown number. A voice whispered threats, warning her to drop the case. Or else. Fear surged through her. She clutched the phone, tears streaming. Damon wrapped his arms around her. "We won't let them win," he vowed. "We have to be strong. For Noah." Days later, the court heard the evidence against Gerald. The judge listened carefully as documents proved illegal dealings and intimidation tactics. Gerald's face hardened, but his empire was cracking. Emma and Damon left the courthouse hand in hand. They didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, they faced it as a united front. Crossroads of trust. The courtroom buzzed with tension. Every eye was fixed on Gerald West, whose cold stare betrayed no hint of fear. Emma sat beside Damon, her hand gripping his tightly, drawing strength from their shared resolve. The judge's voice cut through the silence. "Given the evidence presented, I am ordering a temporary suspension of Mr. West's visitation rights pending further investigation." A quiet murmur swept through the room. Gerald's lips thinned, his eyes narrowing like a predator sensing retreat. Damon exhaled deeply, feeling the weight lift slightly. Emma met his gaze, a small smile breaking through her exhausted face. "We're one step closer," Damon whispered. Later, in the quiet of Emma's living room, the tension gave way to a fragile calm. Noah played with his blocks, building towers that mirrored the careful rebuilding of their lives. Emma watched Damon carefully. "Can I ask you something?" she said softly. He nodded. Why did you really leave? 5 years. No calls, no letters, just silence. Damon's expression darkened. I was scared. Not of you, but of what I was becoming. Gerald's world was swallowing me whole. I didn't want Noah growing up in that. Emma's eyes shimmered. I needed you. I know, and I'm sorry. I should have fought harder. She reached out, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. We can't change the past, but maybe we can build a future. He smiled, hope flickering in his eyes, but peace was fleeting. The next morning, a letter arrived for Emma, an eviction notice from the landlord. Gerald's lawyers were hitting below the belt, using every tool to destabilize her. Emma sank to the floor, overwhelmed. Damon stood firm beside her. We'll find a way. Together. That night, under the soft glow of a single lamp, Emma and Damon shared a moment of vulnerability. He took her hands in his. I want to be better. For you, for Noah. She nodded, tears glistening. I want to believe you. Their lips met, a kiss full of promises and fears. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside, a fragile light burned. Fractured loyalties. The storm outside mirrored the chaos brewing inside Emma's life. She sat by the window, watching rain drip down glass, each drop a reminder of the tears she refused to shed. Damon paced the small living room, frustration and worry etched on his face. We can't let Gerald break us, Damon said. But he's relentless. Emma nodded slowly. He's using everything he has. Money, power, threats. Her voice hardened. But he doesn't have Noah's heart. That evening, Damon received a call from an unexpected source. It was Marissa, his estranged sister, a woman who had always lived in Gerald's shadow. I know what Dad is doing, she whispered, and I want out. Damon stared at the phone, disbelief flooding through him. Why now? He asked. Because it's gotten too far, Marissa said. I don't want Noah caught in this war, and I don't want to lose you. Damon's chest tightened. Can I trust you? You can. Meanwhile, Gerald sat in his office, cold fury simmering. He slammed a fist on his desk. She thinks she can fight me? His assistant nodded. We have new dirt on her, something from her past. Gerald's eyes gleamed. Use it. If I can't have Noah, then no one will. Back at Emma's, the phone rang again. This time, an anonymous voice threatened to reveal a secret Emma had buried for years, a secret that could destroy her. She clutched the receiver, heart pounding. Damon wrapped his arms around her. We face this together, he vowed. The next day, Damon met Marissa in a quiet cafe. She handed him a folder thick with documents, emails, and photos. This is everything I've uncovered, she said. Evidence of Dad's illegal dealings, his attempts to manipulate the courts and the media. Damon's eyes scanned the files, hope flickering. Emma watched Damon's determination and felt her own resolve harden. No matter the past, no matter the secrets, they would fight. For Noah. For their future. The breaking point. The courtroom was packed. Cameras flashed. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Emma sat beside Damon, their hands intertwined, a united front against the storm. Gerald entered with a smug expression, flanked by his lawyers. The judge called the room to order. Today we will hear the final arguments concerning the custody of Noah James Blake, the judge announced. Gerald's lawyer spoke first, painting Emma as unstable and incapable. But Damon's lawyer countered with the evidence Marissa had provided, exposing Gerald's manipulation, lies, and illegal activities. Gasps filled the room as documents and emails were displayed on screens. Emma felt a surge of hope. Then Gerald took the stand. His cold eyes locked onto Emma. You think you can tear this family apart? He sneered. But Damon stood up, voice steady. This family was never his. It's ours. Emma, Noah, and me. The courtroom held its breath. After hours of testimony, the judge leaned forward. In light of the evidence presented, I am awarding full custody of Noah James Blake to Ms. Emma Parker, with supervised visitation rights granted to Mr. Damon West pending further review." Relief flooded Emma. Damon squeezed her hand. Gerald's face darkened, but he said nothing. Later, outside the courthouse, reporters shouted questions. Emma shielded Noah while Damon addressed the cameras. "We're grateful for this decision," Damon said. "Our focus is on Noah's well-being and building a future as a family." Emma looked at Damon, tears in her eyes. "For the first time, I believe that future is possible." That night, Emma and Damon sat on the couch, exhausted but hopeful. Noah slept peacefully between them. Damon kissed Emma's forehead. "We survived the worst." Emma smiled softly. "Now, we start living." Healing wounds. The victory in court felt like a fresh breath of air, but the scars ran deep. Emma woke to Noah's soft laughter, his tiny hands reaching for her. She smiled, feeling the fragile warmth of hope. Damon entered the room, a tentative smile lighting his face. "Morning," he said softly. Emma nodded. "Morning." Noah tugged Damon's hand. "Come play, Daddy." Damon lifted him up, spinning him around. Emma watched, a mixture of joy and apprehension swirling inside. But healing wasn't linear. Emma found herself haunted by memories, moments when Damon's absence had left her empty. One afternoon, alone in the quiet house, she broke down. Damon found her curled on the couch, tears flowing. "I'm scared," she confessed. "Scared that one day you'll leave again." He sat beside her, pulling her close. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." They held each other, a silent promise binding them. Meanwhile, Gerald's shadow lingered. Though defeated in court, he continued to scheme, trying to dismantle Damon's reputation and business. Damon refused to let it break him. With Emma's support, he began rebuilding his life, focusing on what truly mattered. One evening, at Noah's school play, Damon watched Emma's proud smile as their son performed. Afterward, Damon took Emma's hand. "Let's start fresh," he whispered. Emma nodded, hope blooming. Their journey was far from over, but together they faced the future, with love, strength, and resilience. Cracks in the foundation life seemed to settle into a delicate rhythm. Noah's laughter filled the house, Damon's presence grew steadier, and Emma felt hope stir in her heart. But beneath the surface, old wounds and secrets lingered, waiting to break free. One evening, Damon returned home later than usual, exhaustion written across his face. Emma noticed the tension immediately. "Is everything okay?" she asked cautiously. Damon hesitated, then shook his head. "There's something I need to tell you," he said, voice heavy. Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" He took a deep breath. "Before I met you, before Noah, I made mistakes. Serious mistakes. Some people from my past aren't ready to let me go." Emma stared at him, uncertainty swirling in her eyes. Days later, mysterious calls disrupted their nights. Strangers appeared near Emma's work. A shadow followed Damon's car. Fear crept into their once safe world. Emma confronted Damon. "We can't keep running," she said firmly. He nodded. "It's time to face the past." Together, they uncovered secrets about Damon's former associates, dangerous people connected to Gerald's empire. The threat was real, and it was close. But amid the fear, their bond strengthened. Emma and Damon vowed to protect their family, no matter the cost. The edge of darkness. The nights grew darker, not just from the setting sun, but from the shadows stalking their every step. Emma locked every door and window, her eyes scanning every sound. Noah's innocent laughter was a fragile shield against the growing storm. Damon worked tirelessly to uncover the threats against them. He met with private investigators and security experts, determined to protect his family. But the past was relentless. One evening, a black SUV followed Damon after a late meeting. His heart pounded as he maneuvered through deserted streets. He managed to lose them, but the message was clear. They were watching. Emma's phone buzzed with anonymous texts. "Stay away or suffer the consequences." Fear gripped her, but she refused to back down. Together, Damon and Emma devised a plan. They would face their enemies head-on. No more running, no more hiding. One rainy night, Damon confronted one of his former associates in a secluded warehouse. The confrontation was brutal and raw, but Damon's determination burned brighter than ever. Back home, Emma held Noah tight, whispering promises of safety and love. Their battle was far from over, but their family would fight, together. The unravelling. The dawn was cold and grey when Emma awoke to a phone call that shattered the fragile calm they had fought so hard to build. "Emma, it's Detective Harris," the voice said, serious and calm. "We've uncovered new evidence connected to the threats you and Damon have been receiving. You need to come to the station." Her heart hammered in her chest as she woke Damon. He was instantly alert, the exhaustion wiped away by adrenaline. "We need to know who's behind this," Damon said, pulling on his jacket. At the police station, they sat in a small interrogation room, the weight of silence pressing down. Detective Harris slid a folder across the table. Inside were photos, surveillance images of a man shadowing their home, recorded phone calls with veiled threats. And then, something that made Damon's blood run cold. A photo of Gerald West meeting in secret with a known criminal from Damon's past. Gerald was pulling strings deeper and darker than they had imagined. Emma's hands trembled as she clutched Damon's arm. "We have to be careful," Damon warned. "This is bigger than we thought." The detective nodded. "You're right. This is a criminal network, and it's intertwined with the custody battle." Back at home, Emma sat with Noah on her lap, trying to shield him from the storm. Noah looked up with wide eyes. "Mommy, why are the scary noises outside?" She forced a smile. "Nothing scary, sweetie. Just grown-up stuff." Damon spent the next days digging through his past, old mistakes, old enemies, tangled in a web of deceit spun by his own father. But amid the darkness, a light emerged. Marissa, his sister, returned with crucial information. She found documents proving Gerald's involvement in laundering money through several offshore accounts, Damon explained. Emma's eyes filled with tears. "We have to use this." The pressure mounted. Gerald was desperate. He began a public smear campaign, leaking lies about Emma's character to the media. The harassment intensified. Emma refused to back down. She held press conferences, speaking honestly about her love for Noah and the fight for their family. Damon stood by her side, a pillar of strength. One night, as they returned home, the unthinkable happened. Their car was forced off the road by an unknown vehicle. Emma screamed as they skidded into the ditch. They were shaken but unharmed. The attack was a terrifying message. They were in a war where every move was dangerous, but Emma and Damon refused to surrender. They vowed to expose Gerald's crimes, no matter the cost. The fight for tomorrow. The accident left Emma and Damon rattled but unbroken. They spent the night awake, hearts pounding, hands tightly clasped. Noah slept peacefully, unaware of the danger lurking just beyond their doorstep. The next morning, Emma stared at her reflection, seeing a woman hardened by fear yet fueled by determination. "We can't hide anymore," she said softly. Damon nodded, his jaw clenched. "We have to take the fight to Gerald." Together, they prepared. Their lawyers worked to gather every piece of evidence, from Marissa's files to Detective Harris's investigations. They planned a public exposé that would reveal Gerald's crimes and lies once and for all. The day arrived. Emma stood before a sea of cameras and reporters, her voice steady despite the nerves. "I'm here not just as a mother, but as a woman who refuses to be silenced." Damon stood beside her, his presence a shield. They unveiled documents, recordings, and testimonies. The crowd gasped. Behind the scenes, Gerald watched in fury. "This isn't over," he growled. "I will destroy them." But public opinion had shifted. Support poured in for Emma and Damon. Their story resonated, a fight not just for custody but for justice. That night, Emma and Damon sat on the porch watching the stars. "We survived the worst." Damon whispered. Emma leaned into him. Now we build the life we deserve. Noah giggled, running between their legs. For the first time, hope felt real. The truth revealed. The courtroom was packed once again, the air thick with anticipation and tension. Emma sat with Damon and Noah, nerves twisting in her stomach. Today was the final hearing, the moment they had fought so hard to reach. Gerald's lawyer tried to discredit the evidence, but the judge was unwavering. One by one, witnesses testified against Gerald's shady dealings. The prosecution presented documents proving money laundering, intimidation, and manipulation. Suddenly, the courtroom doors opened. Marissa appeared, clutching a thick folder. She stepped forward, her voice steady. "I have additional evidence that will close this case." She handed over emails between Gerald and a known criminal syndicate. Gerald's face paled. The judge reviewed the documents carefully. "This is damning evidence," the judge said. "I hereby revoke all custody and visitation rights of Mr. Gerald West." The courtroom erupted. Emma breathed deeply, tears streaming down her face. Damon pulled her into a tight embrace. Noah clung to them both, smiling. As they left the courthouse, the media swarmed. Damon spoke with newfound confidence. "We will protect our family and ensure Noah grows up surrounded by love, not fear." Emma smiled, her heart lighter than it had been in years. But just as relief washed over them, a final twist awaited. Gerald's lawyer approached Emma quietly. "There's one more thing you should know." Emma's heart stopped. The final secret. Emma's heart pounded as Gerald's lawyer leaned in, lowering his voice. "There's a document, a will, that could change the inheritance and custody claims. Gerald never told you about it." Damon's eyes narrowed. "A will?" "Yes. It's hidden in the family trust. It names Noah as the sole heir, but with conditions. Conditions that could affect his future." Emma swallowed hard. "What kind of conditions?" The lawyer hesitated. "Conditions that give Gerald control until Noah turns 18, unless Damon meets certain requirements." Damon clenched his fists. "What requirements?" Back at their home, Emma and Damon pored over the legal papers. The will stated that Damon must sever all ties with his past, including legally renouncing any claims to the West family fortune and name, for Noah to inherit outright. It was a cruel catch-22. Emma looked at Damon, pain in her eyes. "They want you to give up everything, including your identity." Damon shook his head. "I won't lose Noah, but I won't lose myself either." They faced a terrifying choice: sacrifice their names and history for Noah's security, or fight to keep their whole family intact. In the days that followed, Damon met with his sister, Marissa. "We have one last chance," she said, "to expose Gerald fully and remove those conditions." But it meant risking everything. Emma and Damon prepared for the final battle. Noah watched them, innocent and unaware of the heavy decisions ahead. That night, as they sat together, Emma whispered, "Whatever happens, we have each other." Damon kissed her forehead. "Always." The ultimate test. The courtroom was silent except for the soft shuffling of papers. Emma and Damon sat side by side, hands tightly clasped, ready for the final confrontation. Gerald's smug expression had faded, replaced by unease. Marissa took the stand, delivering a compelling testimony revealing Gerald's manipulation of the family trust and his attempts to trap Damon. Her evidence included emails, financial records, and witness accounts. The judge listened intently. Gerald's defense faltered under the weight of truth. His once confident demeanor cracked. Emma stood, her voice steady but passionate. "For Noah's future, for our family's honor, I ask this court to see the truth beyond greed and lies." Damon added, "I am ready to fight for my son, not just in court, but in life." After what felt like an eternity, the judge finally spoke. "Given the evidence, I rule that all conditions placed upon the inheritance be nullified. Noah is to inherit fully, with Damon West recognised as his legal guardian. Relief flooded the room. Outside, the family embraced, tears of joy and exhaustion mingling. Noah giggled, unaware of the battle won on his behalf. Gerald was led away, his power broken. The nightmare was over. Emma looked at Damon, gratitude and love shining in her eyes. "We survived." Damon smiled. "Together." New beginnings. The sun broke through the clouds, casting warm light over Emma's home. It felt like the first true day of freedom. Noah ran through the garden, laughter filling the air, a sound Damon and Emma hadn't heard in years. Emma stood by the kitchen window sipping coffee, watching her family. Damon joined her, slipping an arm around her waist. "We did it," he whispered. She smiled softly. "Yes, and now we build our life, without fear." The following weeks were a blur of healing. Emma returned to work part-time, supported by Damon's encouragement. They created new routines, slowly knitting their fractured family together. One evening, Damon surprised Emma with a small, simple ring. "I know I can't erase the past," he said, "but I want to spend every future moment with you." Tears filled Emma's eyes as she nodded. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Noah beamed, hugging them both. Their family, once broken and shadowed by pain, was finally whole. As the stars twinkled above, Emma whispered, "We're stronger now." Damon kissed her forehead. "Stronger than ever. Forever and always." The sun set softly over the city, bathing the skyline in golden hues. Emma stood in the garden, hand in hand with Damon, while Noah played nearby, his laughter a melody of innocence and joy. Years of pain, secrets, and battles had led to this moment, a quiet peace they all deserved. Damon turned to Emma, eyes full of tenderness. "I never thought we'd make it here." Emma smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "We fought for love, for family." He kissed her gently. "And I promise, no matter what comes next, I'm yours. Forever." Noah ran up to them, holding a handful of wildflowers. "For Mommy and Daddy," he said shyly. They both knelt, accepting the small gift with gratitude. That night, as they gathered around the dinner table, the future felt wide open and bright. They had survived the storms, and now they would write their own story, one of hope, healing, and unbreakable bonds. Emma whispered softly as she watched her family. "Our silent pain is over. Now, it's our time to live." Damon squeezed her hand. "Forever and always." End of His Secret Baby, Her Silent Pain. Thank you for following this journey. If you want, I can help create a summary, character bios, or ideas for your next story.